we are going to begin a series of 3-day lessons on the Persian War. We're going to start today with talking about the main battle of the First Persian War. We're also going to discuss the Persian Empire and the two sides that were involved, and we're going to discuss the events that led up to that first battle. So, let's start today with where the Persian Empire was. It stretched into North Africa, came up and bordered India, came up to Kazakhstan, and came over to Turkey. It was a well-run empire. Province or territory that the Persian Empire took over could keep several things once it had been conquered. It could keep its own religion, its own language, and some law and government. The downside of that is if it kept those things, they had to swear allegiance, that territory had to swear allegiance to the Persian king. The Persian king said it, they had to do it. At the same time, the Persian army, how were they able to take over all these areas? They were not well equipped, which was a surprise. They have none or light armor. Okay, their main weapon was the bow and arrow or the spear. What they made up for with not having none or light armor, they had a lot of people that were a part of the Roman army, upwards of 200,000 people that made up the Persian army at the time, which is a lot of members. Archers did the dirty work. They shot from long distances, shot the invaders that were on the front lines, and the cavalry and the infantry went in and cleaned up the dirty work. In the early territorial battles that they conquered, they lost very little men because the archers did the dirty work and stood back and shot, killed the front line, and the cavalry got all the people on the back and cleaned up everybody else. So early on, they didn't have so many casualties because they isolated and they took over areas that didn't have really as many people. But what they understood was, if we're going to rule a larger area, we have to rule Greece. So this led them to attempting to take over the largest area that they were trying to go after. Persia conquered an area of Greece, what is modern-day Turkey. It is an area of Greece that at that time was known as Ionia. The Greeks rebelled and tried to fight the Persians. They looked to Sparta, the Spartans being for themselves and saying, no. They just said, we don't want any part of this. They asked Athens. Athens was hoping that they would get it to fight the Persians and get to fight the biggest and the best at the time. Athens says, sure, we'll help. We'll see if we can take them down. Athens arrives and burns down Sardis. Now you have a map at your desk. I want you to look and see if you know why they burned down Sardis. Why would they go and burn down Sardis? Write it down in your notebook why you think they burned it down. Now at the time when Persia was trying to invade Greece, Persia was led by Darius. Darius was outraged at Athens for helping Ionia. He conquers Greece. He gives Athens and Sparta a chance to surrender before he goes in farther inland. Athens and Sparta say, we are not surrendering to you, Darius. So, this leads to the Battle of Marathon. Persians arrived at an area of Greece called Marathon. They are ready to battle the almighty city-state of Athens. Athens sent a messenger to Sparta asking for their help. They knew if they could get Sparta, it would be a quick victory for Greece. The messenger had to go 150 miles in 48 hours. That is a long distance in 48 hours without a vehicle. Okay, that's no easy task for a person to walk or run in 48 hours. Sparta said, we got this religious festival going on. We're too busy partying. Let's just continue partying and throwing down. So they said, we don't want any part of this. We're going to refuse. So Athens is left by itself. They have to find another city-state. They find the other city-state of Parthia. Parthia helps Athens, but they don't send as many because it's a smaller city-state than most. They have 10,000 Athenians at the Battle of Marathon, 1,000 Parthians against 50,000 to 200,000 Persians. Now the number is a little off. They're not sure how many, but they know for sure it was at least 50,000 and upwards of 20,000. So, we've talked about the events that led up to the Battle of Marathon. Let's talk about the war itself. Persians' back was to the water, okay? Athenians closed in on the Persians. Athenians circled the Persians. The Athenians outside of their force were stronger than their center, so they basically enclosed the Persians. The Persians end up panicking. They retreat back to their boats, and it becomes basically a melee. They end up basically swamping the Persians. 192 Athenians, 11 Plataeans end up killed. 6,000 Persians are killed, a large number. Messenger was sent to Athens to tell the news. He ran 26 miles, arrived at the agora to tell the news, and dropped dead. This, right here, the messenger was sent to Athens, ran 26 miles, arrived at the agora, is the start of the first marathon. Today, it's a little bit more than 26 miles, but during this time, it was 26 miles. He ran to the agora, he told her the news, and then he dropped dead. As a result, morale boost for Athens. They said they could do this because they were extremely outnumbered. They knew the Persians would be back, and they knew they had to get ready for them. We talked today about the Battle Marathon, that Darius was not happy, so he invaded. We talked about who the Persian Empire was and what rules they had and what you could and could not do. We talked about the Persian army. We talked about the Battle Marathon and why a marathon is called the marathon. So this ends Persian War 1, number 1.